Hi guys, and welcome back to the first part of a new series on the channel. So this is going to be an entire playthrough of Phantasy Star Portable 2 and Phantasy Star Portable 2 Infinity. It's been requested for a little while on the channel. Now, as a thanks to my members on the channel, I am going to release this as a members only video originally, and then a little bit later it will go live to everyone else as well. So there'll be about a 1 or 2 day delay between it being members and non-members. So thanks again to anyone who's joined the channel as a member. It's just a little thank you for all your support, and this will be an entirely full playthrough of the game. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. So today we're going to start a series of videos for Phantasy Star Portable 2 and Phantasy Star Portable 2 Infinity, and we're basically just going to do a full playthrough of both games. Now, I have played PSP2 before, and I've also played Infinity, the Japanese version, because Infinity was actually only released in Japan. Because of that, although I know the story for PSP2, I don't really know what happens in Infinity too well because it was hard to translate some of the story. So this is going to be the first time for me going through Infinity as well. But I thought we'd start with base game PSP2 just so we can bring people up to speed if they haven't tried it before. As usual with these games, one of the first things you have to do is create a character. So what we'll do is we'll go with female cast. And the character creation in this game is very, very similar to a game like PSU. So once you get to this stage, once you've made your character, you can choose story mode. And in Infinity, we have the choice between episode 1 and episode 2. Episode 1 is the story of Phantasy Star Portable 2, and episode 2 is the story of Infinity. So we'll start with episode 1.
それは遥か遠いところのお話。母なる太陽と3つの惑星を持つグラール太陽系。そこに住むヒューマンと彼らから生まれたキャスト、ニューマン、ビーストは外宇宙より飛来した謎の生命体シードによる襲来を受け滅亡の危機を迎えた。しかし4つの種族は心を一つにして戦い、激しい攻防の末これを封印した。それから3年後、グラールにはシードとの攻防の傷跡が未だ深く刻まれ、資源枯渇が深刻な問題になっていた。外宇宙への移動を可能とする亜空間航行理論が提唱され、最高の道を外宇宙への大規模な移民計画に求めた。政府、軍、3惑星中の企業は結束し、亜空間航行の実現化へ向けて動き出していた。グラールの新しい未来を願って。
これだけの人数が集まってるってことは大手のスポンサーがついてるようだな。久々に儲けられそうだ。
So yeah, just to recap there, so this takes place 3 years after Phantasy Star Universe, where the Seed were obviously mostly destroyed in PSU. So although the Seed have gone, the Goral system is not in a good way, so there's a lack of resources. Essentially the whole system is rebuilding after the events of PSU. So because of that, a lot of these organisations have sprung up, like mercenary organisations, to try and aid in any way they can. But yeah, this takes place 3 years after the events of PSU. Just a quick note I'm going to mention now, so I'm not going to actually voice the storylines that don't have the actual voice acting. In PSP2, it has Japanese voice acting. This is because the English patch version that I'm playing is based on the Japanese version of PSP2. So because of that, the Japanese voiceovers are in the game, and I don't want to be talking over them constantly. So what I'll do is I'll let the Japanese voices play, and that should give you enough time to actually read the text, but I will sort of interject with any sort of additional thoughts or anything I've got on it. So at the moment we're in some kind of seabed relic site with apparently a load of different mercenaries. So our character is clearly a mercenary of some kind. But we're not actually affiliated with anyone, so although a lot of the mercenaries are affiliated with different mercenary organisations, we're just a complete freelancer.
場所が場所ってこともあって腕利きを集めているのかもな。この海底レリクスはつい最近発見されたものだ。調査はまだほとんどされていない。この辺りは安全なようだが、奥はまさに未開の地ってわけよ。
Yeah, so we are still investigating this relic site. It looks like we've just discovered it recently, so I guess we're checking to see if there's any resources or anything we can use here, or any lost technology that we can take back.
なんだあの子供は。腕利きの傭兵のようにはとても見えないが。
ここレリクスでしょ。本気でやばいんだって。やだ、帰りたいよ。
たく少しは働きやがれ。ここは安全だから今からおめえ用の仕事をもらってきてやる。うろうろしたりするなよ。いいか、ここにいろ。
やっぱやだ。ここやだよ。
おい、何かまずいぞ。
逃げろ。閉じ込められる。
急げ、脱出するんだ。
あ、ちょっと待って待ってよ。出してよ。この野郎、開きなさいよ。
So it's clear that something's going on in the relic site. We're not really sure what's happened, but some kind of security system is activated and locked this girl in here. And as we're here as well, I guess we're locked in as well.
開けって開きなさい。もうほんといい加減にしてよ。
Just to add to the effects as well, the banging that you heard there is part of the game, but there is also some works going on next door to my house. So if you hear any other banging, that's probably what that is. Unfortunately, I can't do anything about it. I have tried to set my mic so it doesn't pick it up, but the odd bit might creep through now and again.
だから帰ろうって言ったのにさ。ここはやばいってあれだけ言ったのに、なんで聞いてくんないかな。
So this is the first time you get to actually make a choice in PSP2, so this happens quite a lot in the story where you actually get to make a dialogue choice. Now, in this instance, we can either talk to the girl or examine the area. I feel like talking to the girl is probably the best way to do it, since we are locked in here with her. Yeah, so I think we'll talk to the girl.
誰？ああ、そっか。閉じ込められちゃったの私だけじゃないんだね。 何が起きたかってわかる？わからないよね。私もいきなりでそれどころじゃなかったし、気がついたらみんなは逃げ出してるし、どうしたらいいんだろう。ってまさか奥に進む気？
Yeah, so you can tell she's got a little bit of an attitude problem. I mean, I know she is probably scared because she's locked in this place, but yeah, you can tell she's got a little bit of an attitude.
無理無理、やだやだ、危ないって。ここ未開のレリクスなんだよ。すっごい危ないんだよ。ちょっと待って、一人で行っちゃうの？行くから、私も一緒に行く。あ、そういえば 名前聞いてないんだけど。
Yeah, so I'll give my name. I've gone with Minerva, which is one of my old PSO2 characters.
あんたそういう名前なんだ。あ、私はエミリア。エミリア・パーシバル。
Yeah, so this is Amelia, and she is one of the main characters in PSP2, as you'd probably expect. You know, with these games, you do tend to meet the main sort of protagonist quite early on, and this is the case of PSP2. So she's a fundamentally important character to the story, as we'll discover later on.
そのこれからしばらくは一緒だからよろしくね。
And she's now joined our party for this quest. So obviously our first priority is to try and get out of this relic site that we're locked in.
やっぱり原生生物がわんさかいる。見逃してくれたりしないよね。ね、直前でこんなこと言うのはなんだけど、私武器は持ってても実は戦闘経験なんてほとんどないの。
So she's clearly quite a new mercenary. She is actually a mercenary. I know it says at the beginning that the mercenary you speak to at the start thinks that she isn't one, but she is actually in a mercenary organization, but she has absolutely no combat experience, which is probably not for the best in this situation.
だから頑張って。
Yeah,
私は応援してあげるから。
yeah, she's basically just put the entire thing on you. And now we finally actually get to play. So this is your first introduction to the actual combat of PSP2 and how the actual areas work. So it is very, very similar to PSU. Essentially think of it as PSU with a few different additions. So we still have the same situation with the palette. So, you know, we can scroll up and down our weapon palette. We can scroll over here to items. We have different line shields that we can activate, which are called shield weaves in this for some reason. You do also have single-handed and two-handed weapons, and we can switch between the two. So very similar to PSU at first glance, but there are some differences as well, which we'll come on to. So first bit of business is to get out of this relic site. There will be a lot of stopping and starting here because this is essentially the tutorial for the game. So it's just telling you how to attack and how to use floating arts and how to lock on. Now what it doesn't tell you is there is a chain system in this game. So as you attack, you can see we're building up this number chain here. With the system in this game, if you build a chain up and then use a triangle attack to break it, triangle attack will do more damage. So it encourages you to build these chains up and then break them with a floating art. So this is actually my second time recording this because I had some recording issues on the first time I did it, and on the first time I did it, that very first Evil Shark dropped escape doll. No such luck this time. The one thing I will say is that I feel like the movement in this game feels a little bit janky. It feels quite, well, unprecise is probably the best way to put it. I guess that's because it is a PSP and it probably has very... It feels to me like a directional movement. So again, this is just telling you about your action palette and how to change line shields. And as you would expect, these enemies are super weak. What you might notice as well is that even our normal shots require PP. Our PP also regenerates really, really quickly. So again, we're just building the chain up with our normal shots and then finishing it with a triangle shot. So at this stage in the game, we are just going to pick up pretty much everything. So, interestingly, PSP2 has a way to actually defend attacks. So in this game, if you hold the R button, you actually guard and you'll take significantly less damage from frontal attacks. The only caveats are if you're using a one-handed weapon, you have to have a shield to guard. And if you're using a two-handed weapon, if it's a rod, you can't have techniques on every part of the rod. You have to leave one part free to be able to guard. So you basically use either 4 techniques on a rod, or you use 2 techniques and are able to guard. Also, guarding consumes PP as well. I will try and show the guard. Let's take care of these guys first. So there, you can see we blocked that attack there. However, guarding's not actually your only option for getting out the way of attacks or reducing damage. We do actually have another option as well. Which we will now demonstrate here. Again, I like how she just takes a back seat and lets you do all the work. So we also have a dodge. We essentially have a dive, like a dodge roll. So if you tap circle while you're... It says while you're tilting the analog stick, so essentially while you're moving, you'll do a dodge roll. Dodge roll also does use PP, but it does have quite significant iframes. So basically what we need to do is use the dodge roll to get through these fences. Because of the iframes, we can just iframe through the fences. And then we can hit the switch and let Amelia through. So we now got some new enemies. So these are brand new to PSP2. Again, nothing really at this stage is any challenge, but this is just entirely a tutorial, so you can't really expect much else. The difficulty for the game actually does ramp up a lot at the later stages. As I mentioned, this is very, very start-stop because it is a tutorial and it will teach you basically everything as you go through. This is just telling us about how keys work, which works exactly the same as PSU. Again, particularly the camera controls for moving the camera around feels quite sluggish, and you have to move the analog quite a lot to get it to move at all, so it might be need to just adjust the dead zones a bit for this game, but it doesn't feel the most intuitive in the world. Overall, I will say that this game is fantastic overall. I've played this probably about 800 hours altogether. We've got a nice level up as well, so finally at level 2. We found a PA disc there as well for Rising Crush, which I believe is a twin saber Fortnite. So in PSP2 you will actually just find Fortnite discs. It will be quite repetitive at the moment because at the minute all we have is we've got a saber and a handgun and a rifle, and that's all. Another thing you might notice is that we are fighting quite a lot of evil sharks, so there are PSO enemies in the game as well. This is probably because it was either PSP2 or Infinity, I forget which. I believe it might have been base game PSP2, was a 10th anniversary celebration of PSO. So there was a lot of PSO references in the game. Even more in Infinity as well. And honestly, I do feel that if you like the gameplay loop of PSO, this is probably the next nearest Phantasy Star to that. Particularly at endgame, there is a ton of things to hunt.
すごい。さすが傭兵って感じ。なんかちょっとホッとしたよ。あんたがいれば安全っぽいしさ。 私は軍事会社に登録されてるだけで戦う気とかこれっぽっちもなかったのに。だって言うのにあのおっさん、私が働かないからって無理やり連れ出してこんな危険なレリクスにほっぽって。
I mean, to be fair, Amelia, I mean, you haven't really done any work so far, and you've basically made me do everything, so you are looking a bit lazy at the minute.
ああ、なんかだんだん腹が立ってきた。こんなか弱い女の子を一人にするなんてひどいと思わない？
So are we with Amelia? So we can say he's your boss or the nerve. I said the nerve last time. I want to see what she says if you say he's your boss.
何よ、あんたもおっさんの味方？
Yeah, I pretty much expected that.
いいよいいよ、結局みんなそうなんだから。私の言うことなんて誰も本気で聞いてなんかくれないんだ。とにかくあんたがいれば無事に帰れるような気もするし、おっさんには後で文句言いまくってやる。シードはもう存在しないからレリクスは安全だとか言い張って私の言うこと信じてくれないしさ。
Yeah, Amelia is really, really snarky at this stage in the game.
そりゃ今まで発見されていたレリクスはシード襲来があった時ばかりに機能を覚醒させていたよ。でも全部が全部そうだったかっていうとそういうわけじゃなかったんだよね。一説によるとシードの散布する素粒子に反応して起動しているみたいだけど、同時に磁場の乱れも観測されるからどうもそれだけじゃないと思うのよね。
Amelia gone totally big brain mode here.
そもそもシードは3年前に一掃されたはずなのに、こうしてレリクスは起動してるわけでしょ。レリクス自体が何らかのプログラム管理である以上はトリガーとなるものもそれに準じた。あ、
Yeah, so she's basically just made the whole thing up there. I'm guessing she's like heard other people talking about it and she's just trying to pick up on what they've said. Have you been here before?
ないよ。2階のレリクスって言ってたじゃん。こんなところ来たくもない。いい、今の説明は忘れて。どうせ私が何言ったって誰も信じてくれないんだし。
Yeah, so she's basically just used to people not believing her. And I guess I haven't helped that by not believing her either. So yeah, I'm going to try and get on her side a bit. So I'm going to say, actually, I do believe you.
信じてくれるの？で、こんなこと話してる場合じゃない。もういいから先に進もう。
Yeah, she's not wrong. We probably do need to wait until we're actually out of the seabed site, you know. Some more new guys. Again, nothing is difficult at this stage in the game. We've got a shield drop there, but that is for the Vanguard class. Shield is actually treated as a weapon in this game, so it's not one we really need. So you can actually use the dodge roll to dodge enemy attacks as well. It's not just for dodging fences, you can actually use it to evade attacks. So it's basically deciding what the best option is for you at the time. You know, is the best option to guard attacks or is it to just dodge out the way of them? So is that handgun better than what we've got? It's got more attack and a bit less accuracy. To be honest, there's probably not a whole lot of difference. We're not really using the handgun anyway, to be honest. This is like the most obvious trap ever. Yeah, it looks dicey. You think? Oh look, all the fences are activated. This is just basically getting you to test what you've learned so far. Easy. Yeah, the camera controls in this game are not brilliant sometimes. It's one of my only criticisms of it, really. Apart from that, it's a really, really good game. So one other thing about this game as well, we don't really see it yet too much, but there are an absolute ton of different enemies in this. As well as the enemies from PSO, there is also a lot of new enemies as well. A lot of things that have never been in PSU. But we also have pretty much everything from PSU as well. Someone on my Discord actually mentioned this recently, and I totally agree with it. They basically said that it's essentially like the Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate of Phantasy Star, in that it has basically everything. It's not too hard at the moment because everything has basically no health. But you can see the difference in the damage there. So that charge shot only did 38 damage, and that was because there was no chain before it. The leap that the evil sharks do is actually super annoying because it's really, really quick. Yeah, I'm just going to top my health up. Annoyingly with that spawn, you can't actually hit them when you first see them. They don't actually become targetable until a few seconds later. So I think we're getting towards the end of this now. But you can see though, the basic sort of rotation with the combat at the minute is just to raise the chain up and then hit them with a charge attack. And I've leveled up, so level 3. I like how Amelia is like, when do I get a level up? Well, Emilia, maybe if you start working. To be fair, she's actually attacking things at least. Alright, I've got a healing ring. So these healing rings are basically an omen that there's going to be a boss next. Every time you get one of those, especially if it's right near the end of a block, you know there's going to be a boss coming up. You shouldn't have said anything, Amelia. You really shouldn't have said anything. Yeah, so this guy is an enemy called Svaltia, which is a type of Stateria. So Stateria were in PSU. There was ones like Svaltus and Orgdus. This is a new type that's in PSP2. It's not actually a boss, it's actually more of like a mini-boss enemy. But at this stage in the game, they treat it as a boss. I want to say this could get messy because I want to see how she reacts to it. Yeah, so her dialogue's actually different there because I remember last time when I did this, and I said we can do it. She was like, "Yeah, you're right, we can do this. We've done this before. We can do it again." When you say this, she goes, "Well, I guess you've gotten us this far." Yeah, so this is basically the tutorial of how to use everything you've learned, which in this case is basically just dodge roll and shoot a lot. The only slight problem is that Amelia sometimes breaks the chains. So you try and build the chains up, but occasionally she will break them. And there we go. Again, not hard, but this is basically the tutorial of the game. So much like PSU, you do also get a rank evaluation at the end.
あんた本当にすっごいね。
You don't get many rewards for this one, but later on in the game you do get actually quite decent rewards.
生きてる。私生きてる。やったよ。あんなでっかいのを倒しちゃった。すごい。本当にすごい。あんたを信じてよかった。やった。
Yeah, I like how now she's like, I knew you could do it, but before the fight she was like, I'm not so sure on this. Also, you might be celebrating a bit too soon. Hello there. So yeah, we only get one option. I mean, yeah, we have to protect Amelia. As short as that cutscene is, I actually really like it because it's all from your character's perspective.
やだ。やだよ。どうして私なんかかばって。起きてよ。起きて。起きてってば。どうしていつもそうなの。みんな私を置いてっちゃうの。私を置いていかないでよ。一人にしないでよ。お願いだから目を開けてよ。誰か誰でもいいから助けてよ。 あなたを死なせはしません。
Yeah, so Amelia has plot armor. I will let the opening play out as well. Yeah, so obviously a few things to talk about there. So our character is actually dead. Yeah, you are actually dead. Something is obviously going on with Amelia. She's obviously got some kind of plot armor power. She didn't really let on about it, so maybe she doesn't know about it. But there is definitely something going on with Amelia, which is why I mentioned she is one of the most integral characters to the story. So at the moment, we have no idea what that actually involves, but I'm sure it'll get explained over time. But yeah, for the time being, essentially what's happened now is our body's been recovered, and we're now going to go back to Clad 6, but we are dead.
でも気持ちとても嬉しいよ。じゃあまたね。 気がついたね。ちょっと待っててね。社長さん、社長さん。お客さん、起きしたよ。社長さんも起きしてよね。
ああ。
お客さん、リトルウィングへようこそ。
So a few more things to talk about. You know, I said we were dead. Well, it turns out we're not dead. To be fair, it would be a very short game if we were dead. I wasn't totally lying though about us being dead. You'll find out a bit more about that later on. So secondly, this is a character called Chelsea, and she's part of this organisation called Little Wing. And the other guy you saw is a character called, well, in the Japanese version he was called Crouch, but for some reason they translated his name to Kraz in the English version, which makes my skin crawl every time I hear it. One of the really funny things, if you may have noticed in that cutscene, that is when Kraz is looking at the images on his desk, all he's actually looking at is images of beast girls in bikinis. He's literally just looking at like gravure pictures, which I think is really, really funny.
私チェルシー、よろしくね。
So I mentioned earlier that I wouldn't be voicing the characters, and the other reason for that is because of Chelsea. Because Chelsea has this habit of, in the text at least, of using a lot of French. I know no French whatsoever. That's another reason I'm not voicing it. Pleasure to meet you.
はい、はじめましてね。礼儀正しい人で気に入ったよ。今後ともご指名よろしくね。
For real though, Chelsea's one of my favourite characters in this game. She's amazing.
社長さん、社長さん、お客さんがお待ちよ。
まあ待てって。今通信中だ。
You might be able to see in the background, so I think my cursor shows up, but here you can see that's clearly like a beast girl in a bikini. It's actually there when you actually run around Clad 6 as well. If you go up to his desk, you can actually see them on the desk as well.
俺だ俺。今すぐ俺んとこまで来い。あ？嫌だ？甘えてんじゃねえぞ。
あらあらあら。それじゃあ。 私から軽く説明ね。
Yeah, I like how Chelsea's like, well, since you can't be bothered doing your job, I guess I'll do it.
ここはリゾート型コロニークラット6。そのクラット6の中にある民間軍事会社リトルウィングの事務所なの。
It's like the shortest cutscene, well, one of the shortest cutscenes in the whole game.
あなた、社長さんが連れてきたお客さんね。今までずっと寝ていたのよ。ぐっすり、すやすや。寝る子は育つって感じだったね。
よう、気分はどうだ？おお、面白いぐらいわけがわからないって顔してるな。じゃあまあ。 軽く説明でもしておくか。
Yeah, Kraz is very, very rough around the edges.
俺はクラウチ・ミラー。この軍事会社リトルウィングを取り仕切っているもんだ。
So when he introduces himself there, you literally hear in the Japanese him say Kurachi. So I don't know why they didn't just translate it to crouch in the English version. It would make so much more sense. But Kraz is such a weird translation.
まあ軍事会社といっても肩書きだけでな。やってることはそこらの便利屋と大して変わらねえ。要人警護とか廃棄プラントの調査とかしょぼいもんばっかりさ。で、この前やったレリクスの調査、そこにもたまたま参加してたってわけだ。 いろいろあってレリクス内に閉じ込められたバカを救出するっつう任務に切り替わっちまったけどな。
Yeah, I end up rescuing the idiots who got trapped inside. I can't think who he's thinking of there.
その救出されたバカがお前さんだよ。しかも身元の確認も取れないできた。
Yeah, like I was like, just to spell it out to you, one of those idiots was you.
しょうがねえから俺が引き取る形で一旦ここまでご招待ってわけよ。
To say thanks for saving me, or what happened to the girl I was with. But let's be really, really selfish and say thanks for saving me.
気にすんな。こっちも割と下心があるからよ。
You might say I had an ulterior motive.
あ、ちょうどいいタイミングだな。さっさと入れ。
あのさ、おっさん。今日ぐらい勘弁してよ。
Yeah, she's not had a good day, Amelia, really.
私がどういう状況だったか知ってるでしょ？
知らねえし、興味もねえから勘弁しねえよ。それよりお前、客の前でそんな面するんじゃね
はじめまして。ってどこかで見たような。
Just waiting for the penny to drop with Amelia. There we go.
あんたは生きてる？なんで生きてるの？なんでおっさん？
勝手に人を殺すんじゃねえよ。お前ほんと適当なことしか言わねえな。
っていうかおっさん、生きてるの知ってたんなら教えてよ。でもよかったよかった。私も気を失ってて、気がついてみればここにいたしさ。あそこで起こったことって全部夢だったんだ。よかった。
Yeah, I like here how she's like, well, because I blacked out, I guess I must have just imagined and dreamed the whole thing. So yeah, I guess it just didn't happen. Just complete denial.
やっぱりお前ら知り合いだったんだな。よーしよーし、狙い通り。エミリアも懐いているみたいだし、好都合だ。
Yeah, so about that ulterior motive that you mentioned.
狙い通り？好都合？
お前さんフリーなんだろ？ちょうどいい。このままうちの会社に入っちまえ。
はあ？おっさん、急に何言ってんの？
お前とは話してねえよ。黙ってろ。うちは確かに小さな会社だが、お前みたいな経験者にはボーナスも弾むぜ。
Bonus package? Sign me up.
今ならいないよりはマシ程度のパートナーもつけてやるよ。
Yeah, I get the impression I know where this is going. She's not much, but she's better than nothing. Who have we met recently that isn't great in combat?
へえ、珍しく太っ腹だね。
何人事みたいな顔してんだ。お前のことに決まってんだろ。
Yeah, thought as much.
うだ、試験もなしでパートナー付きの仕事だ。割と破格の条件だと思うぜ。
I actually want to see what he says if he said not interested. 'Cause last time I said sign me up.
まあ急な誘いで混乱もするだろう。断りたいなら断ってくれてもいい。その代わりここまでの運搬代金と目覚めるまでの護衛代金を払ってもらうかな。
Yeah, nothing like some sort of bribery.
そうだな。差し詰め100万見せたってところか。
The funny thing is with that, if that was in PSO or in NGS, I'd just go, yeah, here, take the million.
最低。
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that, Amelia, to be honest.
でどうすると言ってもうなずくしかなさそうだけどな。実はすでにお前用の部屋も用意してある。
So we've got some personal quarters. So yeah, PSP2 has the room system from PSU.
おい、エミリア、こいつをマイルームに案内してやれ。パートナーなんだから仲良くな。
ちょっとおっさん、パートナーとか勝手に決めるな。私の意見も聞いてよ。
Yeah, she's like, you're not gonna ask me. Do I have any input in this?
お前、それはつまり一人で働きたいってことか？
そういうわけじゃ。
偉そうな口は一人で稼げるようになってから叩け。ほら、命令だぞ。じゃあ。
わかったよ。それじゃあ、私は先に居住区の入り口に行ってるから。
たっく、返事一つまともにできねえのか、あいつは。
Has more lip on her than brains.
社長さん、怖い顔するからね。もっと優しくしてあげるといいよ。
なんでろくに働きもしねえ社員に優しくしてやんなきゃいけねえんだよ。なあ、お前もそう思わねえか？
So do I think Kraz is too hard on Amelia? I mean, Amelia is super, super lazy, but I think he could probably cut her a little slack.
なんで関係のないガキをそこまで甘やかさなきゃいけねえんだよ。まさかエミリアと俺は家族だとでも思ってんのか？とびきりの冗談だな、そりゃ。
You are kind of coming across like a family, though, to be fair.
勘違いしているようだからあらかじめ言っておくぞ。俺とエミリアは家族でも何でもねえ。ただの上司と部下の関係だ。
そんな釣れないね。社長さんはあの子の保護者でもあるのに。
ツケの代わりにお前ともども押し付けられただけじゃねえかよ。
Oof. Way to feel welcome. Literally only took me in because he needed to settle a bar tab.
お店が潰れる直前まで来てくれたの社長さんだけよ。私とエミリア引き取ってくれて感謝感謝ね。
ああ、話が進まねえな。ともかく俺とエミリアは家族なんかじゃねえ。
Alright, if you say so.
だが書類上俺はエミリアの保護者ということになっちまってるってわけだ。
I kind of get why he's like this then if he's a legal guardian. I imagine she'd probably just get quite annoying to deal with sometimes.
そうでなければろくに働きもしねえうるさいだけのガキなんてとっくに放り出してる。
仕方ないよ。最初は誰でもわからないことだらけよ。
まああいつの過去とかどうでもいい。正直そんなことに興味はみじんもねえしな。いいか、お前さんの第一の仕事はエミリアのおもりだ。
So interesting that he mentions about not wanting to talk about Amelia's past, so it makes you wonder, did anything happen in her past?
ただ飯ぐらいじゃなくなる程度に使えるようにしてやってくれ。それでいい。あとは好きにしてくれ。じゃあ、あとは頼んだぜ。
社長さんはああ言うけどエミリアはいい子よ。仲良くしてもらえると私も嬉しい。あの子も嬉しい。みんな嬉しい。
So if we're nice to Amelia, Chelsea's happy. Well, I want to keep Chelsea happy, so let's be nice to Amelia.
さあさあ、お客さん。エミリアは居住区の入り口でお待ちよ。レディーを待たせちゃいけないね。
Yeah, this is your first little introduction to Clad 6. So with the little wing officers here, we've got Crouch at his desk, or Kraz. It might be hard to show you because of how the camera is, but you might be able to see that he is just looking at pictures of Beast Girls. And that is literally all he does, just sit at his desk and look at pictures. Now, you might notice that some of the characters have speech bubbles above the head. That's because they have extra text that you can access. But what we'll do is, I think that's gone on for long enough for the first episode. So next episode, we'll talk to Chelsea and Kraz, and we'll pick up the story from there. So hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please consider liking, subscribing, or joining as a member. Just as a reminder, members are getting some priority on this series, so it will go live to members first, and then to everyone else a little bit later. So if you want to get in first on this, by all means join as a member. But otherwise, if you enjoyed it, I'll see you guys in the next video.